Red Dead Redemption is possibly the best video game of all time. Well, at least that's my opinion. I remember the first time I stepped into the boots of John Marston, getting to meet all the unique characters for the first time, exploring the beauty of the wide open western world, enjoying the brilliance of the gunplay, the beautifully thought out and executed storyline with the heart-wrenching ending, and of course, hunting and being mauled to death by bears in tall trees. It was an adventure I could never have expected, in the likes of which I'd never seen before and fear to never see again. It cemented Rockstar as one of my favorite game publishers of all time and changed the way I'd see open world games for many years to come. Red Dead Redemption wasn't really a household name where I live, and it certainly wasn't a game that me and my friends often discussed. Back then, everybody wanted to play GTA 4, including me, and this amazing title didn't really come to my attention until I got it on a whim one fateful Christmas morning. A GTA game about horses? That sounds stupid! That was my initial opinion when I first heard about the game, but after watching an obscure update video from an obscure YouTuber who I was really into at the time, my opinion suddenly changed completely. Man, there's just something so refreshing about playing this game. Something that I really can't find with GTA 4 or even GTA 5. This game was different, and it still is. It quickly became my favorite game of all time as soon as I played it. After all, this is one of the only games I've ever 100%ed. It took ages, but it was worth it. It never felt like a bother, especially thanks to the excellent guides on the Red Dead Wiki. And like every other wiki, the Red Dead Wiki's WHAT?! Red Dead Redemption is a sequel? How the heck did I miss this? Well, it's true. Before Redemption, there was Revolver. And I'm not gonna act like absolutely nobody knows about this game, because a lot of people actually do. But it's not nearly as well known as Redemption, or any other Rockstar production for that matter. It's safe to say that the only thing connecting these two games is the namesake. Though they're both part of the same series, Revolver and Redemption are drastically different. While Redemption is a dramatic masterpiece with a story akin to the likes of Breaking Bad, Revolver is a very cliched spaghetti western story with a very simple plot. Believe it or not, Revolver was originally being produced by Capcom, with no association to Rockstar at all. The game was meant to be more of an arcade game, borrowing elements from their much older title Gunsmoke from the NES, and had a more weird western feel than the spaghetti western we'll be looking at today. And I'm not joking when I say weird western. Look at the trailer, for God's sakes. The game was super Japanese, with lasers coming from revolvers and what can only be described as a flying outlaw. Thankfully, Rockstar eventually bought the rights from Capcom in 2002 and ended up finishing the game for them. They got rid of most of the craziness of the original game and expanded upon it. Thank fuck for that too. I'd hate to be playing Redemption only to be attacked by a flying man-bird. Oh wait. But could Rockstar Games really save such a lost cause? Only one way to find out. I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. The footage you're seeing right now and probably for the rest of the review was shot on an emulator. And because of this, I'm going to be extra careful when making complaints. I swear. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into the review! Our tale begins with the introduction to the main character, Red Harlow, whose mother is a Native American, and whose father is just returning home from finding the gold hidden deep in Bear Mountain. Red's father gives him an old pistol, and Red contentedly heads down to the creek for target practice, while his mom and dad go have some fun of their own. This is where we get our first real taste of the gameplay, or more so, the gunplay. While this game is obviously no Red Dead Redemption, the gunplay is quite fun, and it's pretty easy to get used to, especially when you're just shooting targets and pots and pans. Unfortunately, Red's father's new riches can't save them from a raid by a bunch of bandits, who totally have nothing to do with Daddy's gold excursions in any way, shape, or form. And so we have our first experience with the combat of this game, and dare I say it, it's pretty hit or miss. No, seriously, it's hit or miss. Half the shots I fire at the enemies just gloss over them, and even if they do manage to land a hit, it seems like the enemies are pretty cool with it. Oh, just shot in the arm again. Another typical Sunday. It's pretty frustrating, I must say, but rewarding as fuck when you land headshots or finally kill an enemy you've been riddling with bullets for the last 30 minutes. Turns out Red's skills just aren't dank enough as his father and Pocahontas are gunned down. After shooting off the gunman's arm, Red hides in the bushes and plots his revenge. From there, we're flung into the rest of the game. The story is quite simple. It follows Red's adventures in bounty hunting, all the while looking for revenge for his parents' death. Unlike most Rockstar games, and Redemption itself, Revolver is not an open world game and instead follows a much more linear structure. The game follows a level format and never really strays from the main storyline. The story of Red Dead Revolver takes place over 27 levels. There are actually 5 other playable characters in the game other than Red himself, which is a fact that I was really surprised by. In fact, when I got to the first level where you play as a character other than Red, I thought my game was glitching out, and I was playing a mission intended to be a bonus mission. Regardless, this is something that I really like. The levels are usually pretty big, but don't expect to have much time to explore them because they're literally riddled with enemies. Sometimes you can just run and gun your way through all of them, other times you'll need to use the game's cover system, or better yet, the very primitive version of Deadeye included in the game.
That's right! My personal favorite game mechanic from Red Dead Redemption actually originated here.
Obviously, Deadeye didn't exactly originate from Revolver. Lots of games have been known to have a bullet time mechanic, with the earliest inception being Astro Blaster if we want to be technical, or Ubisoft's Requiem Avenging Angel if we want to be serious. But I don't think I'm alone when I say that Red Dead Redemption has one of the best bullet time mechanics of all time. And although the Deadeye mechanic is alive and well in Revolver, it's not nearly as fleshed out as in Redemption. Whereas there are 3 different levels of Deadeye that you obtain in Redemption, Revolver's version is much more simple. You simply aim the reticle at the part of an enemy's body that you want to hit, and release the Deadeye button when you're done. Though simple, Deadeye is very effective, and you'll be definitely using it throughout the game, especially when you're outnumbered and outgunned. Each playable character has their own special edition of Deadeye at their disposal. Jack Swift is the only one to actually use a form of Deadeye though, everyone else just has their own cool special abilities. After fighting through hordes of enemies in every level, the player is often met with a final boss, or multiple mini-bosses to take down. When I first noticed this on the 3rd level, I thought of it as a welcomed addition. Then, I fought Pig Josh. I fucking hate this motherfucker. Though he's one of the first bosses in the fucking game, he made me pull my hair out far more than any of the rest. The whole idea is to stealth around him, but I don't know how you're supposed to stealth around this fat fuck. I hate this boss with every inch of my existence. He's possibly the worst thing since Tree Town stopped coming on Treehouse. The frickin' final boss is easier than this. Talking about him fuels my anger to no end. No amount of Deadeye can save you here. You need a combination of luck and skill, both of which I don't have. You gonna blow up real good, cowboy! Sorry. If you're fortunate enough to reach the end of a level without finding a boss, you're probably going to be greeted with a duel, which isn't much better to be honest. Apparently duels are another thing that Redemption improved upon immensely. The duels of Revolver are finicky to say the least. Even after playing the entire game, I still don't really know what I'm doing. There's 4 steps to the dueling minigame thingy. Step 1. Move down the analog stick and grab the gun. Step 2. Move the analog stick back up to remove the gun from the holster. Step 3. Acquire locks on your target with the R1 button. The crosshair will cycle through 3 locks. Yellow, dark red, and bright red, with bright red being the best. Step 4. Fire! Simple, right? No! Because in most cases, you honestly don't have enough time to pick your targets. Especially when facing more than one opponent. I swear to God it feels near impossible. Who the hell do they think I am, Clint Eastwood? Know what? Maybe I'll try this. That is an accurate representation
of how the dueling system works in Red Dead Revolver.
Now, something I actually really like about this game is the wide variety of weapons that can be found dropped from enemies around the world or bought at a store in between missions. There's 4 different weapon types in the game: the revolvers, the rifles, the shotguns, and the throwable weapons. Sure, that mightn't seem like much variety, but by the end of the game, you'll have so many different guns to choose from that it won't matter the lack of gun types. Besides, in the Wild West, you can't really expect high power weapon types. Oh god. My personal favorite is the bayonet rifle. You'll be able to find it about halfway through the game, and you won't want to stop using it when you do. It's statistically the best rifle in the game, and has the added bonus of being able to stab enemies who just get a little too close for comfort. Another weapon I found useful is a rather simple one: the knife. Though it's just about as simple as it can get, the knife turned out to be a rather helpful weapon towards the ending of the game when getting frustrated by fat and overpowered banditos. Eventually you might find yourself having to repair some of these weapons, but it's really not an issue as these repairs are minor and pretty inexpensive. Something else I really appreciated while playing through Revolver was the town of Brimstone. It acts as a mini hub world where you can find shops and other general stores, get your next mission from the sheriff, and chat with NPCs. Also, this might be just me, but the western slow walking in stores really got my cliche lasso in a bunch. Truly beautiful. Like the multiple playable characters, the hub world was something I really wasn't expecting from the game, and is something that I think fleshed it out just a little bit more. While we're on the topic of things I really liked about the game, can I just take a few more seconds to talk a little more about the playable characters? This is something I think the game really benefited from. I mean, Red himself is an alright character, but I think it's safe to say the game would have been pretty boring if you only played as him. Instead, a few select missions have you playing as a previously mentioned Jack Swift, Cattle Ranger Annie Stokes, the Buffalo Soldier, and my all-time favorite, Shadow Wolf. This badass motherfucker right here is my favorite character in the game. He's just the right combination of power, epicness, skill, and luck. Last 2 things I do not have. His sacred bow is one of the funnest weapons to use in the game, and his Deadeye move is deadly as fuck. Watch how fast I take down the boss of this level, a seemingly powerful native man the size of a grizzly bear. If I had been Red, I'd probably still be there trying to kill him. The thing I actually like the most about him is that he goes against the whole cowboys and Indians cliche seen in many spaghetti western films. In fact, Revolver goes against this cliche in many ways. Not only is one of the playable characters a badass Native American, but Red Harlow's mother is actually Native American herself, making Red half Indian, half cowpoke. And to top it all off, Red and Shadow Wolf are actually cousins. I find this little detail to be really cool, though the game does have you fight a few Native Americans in certain levels. But of course, like all good things in the game, there's a bad thing lined right up there to take its place. I left out the last playable character for a good reason. I fucking hate him. That's right. The last playable character I gotta talk about is General Diego. Sure, it might sound cool to be able to play as a villain of the game, and I guess it kinda is. I mean, he plays alright and is pretty powerful, but his mission is atrocious. Seriously, this mission makes Pig Josh seem like a walk in the park. It's mainly a protect mission where you have to fend off a bunch of US troops while defending your own troops from the invasion. Don't you wish every game was filled with protect missions? I certainly do. The mission wouldn't even be that bad, but there are exactly 0, count them, 0 checkpoints throughout the entire thing. Not one! This is a huge problem. I can't tell you how long it took me to complete this garbage. In all honesty, this game has a huge problem with difficulty spikes. 1 minute, you'll have no problem plowing down enemies and feel like one badass motherfucker. And the next minute, you'll be trying not to take an aneurysm while fighting a boss who seems implausible, dueling 3 attackers at once, and trying not to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of bullets grazing your face. Sure, every gamer likes a challenge, but when Pig Josh blows you to smithereens and the final boss barely offers a challenge, you know something's wrong. This is probably my biggest qualm with the game. There's no balance. But I digress. One of the saving graces of this game is the sheer amount of things to do after completing it, all of which will take quite some time. The first time you play through the game, you're forced to play on normal mode. Thank God, and I don't know why anyone would want to put themselves through such horror, but after completing the game for the first time, you unlock hard mode, then very hard mode after that. If one should endure such punishment of completing very hard mode, they will unlock a special difficulty mode called Red Dead Revolver. I don't know why anybody would put themselves through such terror for such a thing, but it's there, and I guess it looks cool. You play as a special character in this mode by the name of Mannequin. Get it? Mannequin? Because he's a mannequin. Never mind. I don't know how he plays because obviously I don't want to destroy my self-esteem by trying to unlock him, but apparently he replaces red in cutscenes, and his special move is to set himself on fire. Fun. Something else you could do after completing the game is focus on finishing Sheriff Bartlett's journal. The journal is chock full of information about the game, and the pages can be found by completing missions, buying items from the store, or taking part in other aspects of the game, such as the Bounty Hunter mode. And Bounty Hunter mode is a unique mode separate to the rest of the previously mentioned modes where you basically complete challenges to unlock journal pages as well as showdown characters and stages or cheats. Which can be very helpful when trying to complete the game on higher difficulty modes. See, I told you there's a lot of stuff. And finally, there's Showdown mode, a set of 3 multiplayer game modes that lets players have fun with more than just themselves. In short, Red Dead Revolver is a game full of potential. Potential that certainly falls short in some areas, but really helped pave the way for the redemption that the series had some years later. The game certainly isn't bad, but it's no masterpiece either. It has its fair share of problems, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have fun with it whatsoever. The story is pretty lackluster if you compare it to Redemption, but how could you? The game came out long before Redemption's story was even thought of, and without it, Redemption probably wouldn't have existed. It's cliche, but it has heart, and it's clear to see the developers had a lot of love for this genre. It's also filled with that Rockstar type humor found in the GTA series that was lacking in Redemption. Sure, it's something I could live without, but I'm sure a lot of Rockstar fans will appreciate its presence. It was a lot more present in Undead Nightmare DLC for Redemption, but the main game was thankfully more serious. And after all, how can I not appreciate the game that introduced so many features that would be later reintroduced and reincorporated into Redemption? Even the Gatling gun made an appearance.
So I mean, it's alright for what it's worth. Red Dead Revolver gets a 7 out of 10 on the Dank Kush scale.
Unfortunately, unlike most games developed by Rockstar Games Studios, Red Dead Revolver has mostly fallen into obscurity. There are a lot of factors that could have contributed to this, like the fact that Redemption's storyline has literally nothing to do with Revolver, aside from random mentions at campfires or that one multiplayer DLC. But to be honest, I think it's the success of the GTA series that's really to blame. Let's face it folks, Rockstar's most successful franchise is the GTA series, and for good reason. So I guess it's logical that because Revolver and San Andreas came around the same time, Revolver would have been long left in the dust. I suppose it doesn't help that Red Dead Redemption 2 is being named Red Dead Redemption 2 instead of something like Red Dead Retribution, which is what I thought it would be after, Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption, Red Dead, something with an R? No, it's Red Dead Redemption 2, which is fine.
Red Dead Redemption 2!
That's right, Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out. Oh my god, my panties are in such a bunch. Whew, whew. Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, I am so excited for it. But I'm also nervous because how can you possibly follow up something to Red Dead Redemption? And the other thing is that they haven't announced a thing since the announcement. What the fuck, Rockstar?
Look, Rockstar Games make the best games. They really do. Nobody makes better games than Rockstar Games. But when you start announcing games almost a year ago, and it's like, what, April this year now, for the release date of the end of this year, and you still haven't given us any significant news since the announcement, there's something wrong there, and I'm not standing for it. It's time to take matters into my own hands.
you for having a personality.